Hey everybody, Stuntman Kirk here from the show. Do you need a loan or rent an apartment, but you don't have a credit score? Do you have a credit score but it's low? I'd like to tell you about an amazing free service offered by KIKOFF, KIKOFF. They build credit for free, no interest, no fee, no credit pull, no bank account or credit card required. Their customers who had no credit were able to get a 600 plus credit score in 30 days. KIKOFF is an official member of all three major consumer credit bureaus and will establish your credit history with all of them. It is a mission-driven company backed by social impact investors. Credit building should be free, and now it is. Build your credit and receive free credit scores at KIKOFF's website today. That's KIKOFF without the C, so KIKOFF.com.
Looking to take your sports knowledge to the next level? Just a fan of wrestling and entertainment? You're in the right place. Welcome to The Show with your hosts, Hollywood JDT and Stuntman Kirk.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of The Show. And this one is a superstar loaded show. And I mean it, guys. We have the one and only Danger Dean and the man whose ego will fit inside this podcast, I believe, Mr. Brandon Bishop. How you guys doing?
Wishful thinking, prick. Hey, wait a minute. Why did Dean go first? Because not only am I older, not only does Brandon Bishop alphabetically on both names come before Danger Dean. Is it main event booking? Is that what you're doing right now? Did Dean jerk the curtain and I closed it out, or what? I don't know about that introduction.
He agreed to come on the show before you did.
Oh, so it's on a piece of loose leaf paper. You have loose leaf paper in front of you.
Very much.
You're going to get him going, and then you're not going to be able to get him to stop.
I know.
We're not. Dude, you woke me up for this.
We'll get Brandon on a rant and not even get into talking about Mania or anything going on in each other's lives.
Mania? What's that? That is what's going on in our houses at the moment. Megalomania.
So before we get into talking some WrestleMania talk, how you guys doing with the current environment and world? And I know, Dean, you've dealt with some stuff. And I know everyone's got their kids at home, and homeschool is, if for nothing else, should prove that teachers deserve like millions of dollars compared to any other profession at this point.
I'll let Dean go first since he's alphabetically better than me.
I've actually been through a little bit of homeschooling stuff before because I've done a couple cross-country moves, and we ended up trying it out with our oldest. Didn't work out so much, so I've already kind of been gun shy of the whole homeschooling thing. But this time around, with all the teachers, kind of setting up all their programs, and they're really more involved than anything. It's been more of a help thing. So that actually hasn't been too terrible. I'm not too upset about the homeschooling stuff.
My kid woke up at 8 o'clock this morning and logged on to his computer, same with yesterday, for about 25 minutes and then went back to bed. So that's the extent of homeschooling right now. And I don't know what he's doing. I'm taking his word for it because he's a great kid, but he could be bullshitting me. He probably should still be up and be on the login or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with it, but I love this quarantine stuff. This is like a hypochondriac's antisocial person's dream. And I'm not either one of those things, but I could very well be. I'm like literally a sneeze away from being a hypochondriac at this point. It's lovely. People are washing their hands. They're staying out of my way. They're covering their mouths when they cough and sneeze. Are you kidding me? I was a germaphobe before being a germaphobe was cool. Trust me, I love this stuff. It's amazing. Can it go on forever? I mean, I hate to see people getting sick and dying, even though like only like a fraction of the amount of people have actually been sick and dying compared to the normal flu. So I don't know. It could be one of two things. It's really a bad deal, or it could be a big global martial law experiment on the public, and they're going to lock us down, and they're going to take over this goddamn world, Josh and Dean, and they're going to break our wills, and they're going to keep us trapped in our houses, and they're going to ruin everything, and they're going to take over every dollar at a time, and they're going to ruin cats for everybody. They're going to say cats can contract the COVID-19. It's going to be called CatVid-19, and it's just going to escalate from here. It's going to be a snowball rolling downhill onto a helpless population, and I'm tired of it right now, but I love it at the very moment. Was that a good promo? Can I still go?
I think you still got it. I think we know what the next Brandon Bishop podcast episode is going to be about.
Have you listened to the recent ones?
Dean, how's life been, man? I know you were Denver, or not Denver, you were Springs, went to Florida. Now you're out in Washington.
Yeah, just out here doing. I was working with a radio company doing some stuff with them, but with all this going on, that we're furloughed, I guess we could say, at the moment. But been wrestling out here.
That's what happens to my vacuum when I vacuum after my cat. It gets furloughed. Never mind. I'll shut up.
But yeah, just
you just woke me up. I'm telling you.
Just living the dream. We were going to come back to Colorado at one point. We had the opportunity to, but decided to move out here towards Seattle.
Seattle's awesome.
And obviously now things have kind of been paused, but how's the wrestling? I saw you were getting back into wrestling out there, and decided not to keep it on the shelf. How's that been?
It was really good. I was off to a really good start. Was getting in better shape than I had been, and then this hit, and then I think I've taken 2 steps back. So we'll see in a couple of months how well I'm able to hold up.
And Brandon, what about you, man? I know we had the Primos talk was out there, and Bishop was taking over.
I wasn't taking over. I bought the company.
Okay, you took over the company, and now with where we're at, what's the news and story on that?
The ink is still on the contract. It's not like you buy a car and then people get sick and you have to give the car back. It's not like that at all. We're rebranding as soon as we can. We planned on doing it in July. It's not going to be Asylum Championship Wrestling. It's simply going to be Asylum Wrestling, and it's going to be a TV show. Basically, I've got a location already here. I've got everyone from commentators to referees to in-ring talent to fans that are dying for this thing, and they're looking forward to it. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a show on a side TV, and it's going to be a wrestling show that takes place while everything's being set up during the show and breakdown. It's going to be something that's never been done before. And I've always wanted to do it, but I never had I didn't have a TV network back then. So I could have done it and put it on YouTube. Yay. Even back then, you could only put 10-minute videos on YouTube. That's why all of the ACW highlights are 10 minutes long, and it drives me crazy watching them. So anyway, it's going to be fun. It's going to be, the story starts, like I said, when we pull up to the arena, we unload the truck, the rings being set up, the backstage, the entranceway is being set up, and we always do good production. So I always thought it's dumb that everything in a wrestling show just happens to happen in that 2 or 3 hours. No, it's phone calls at home and arguments and people fighting on the streets, and it's going to be insane. So I hope you're both at least a small part of it when it starts happening.
Wrestling,
right?
I'm all for getting back into doing some of the behind the scenes stuff for commentating and various things in that regard.
You'd be great for it.
Wrestling's on the shelf at this point in life. So,
well, you say that. Just like I told Dean when he first started, I said, dude, once you get into this shit, it gets into your blood. It's a sickness, and you'll be doing it for the rest of your life in one capacity or another. And lo and behold, he's got that green neon singlet on again up there in Seattle. And yeah,
I was good for about a year and a half, and I started, and I was the same way. I wanted to go towards commentary, but then I got out here and got the chance to roll around in a ring for like 10 minutes, and it was
that's
like,
what does
all
it.
right, maybe. It's, so if you don't want to do it, stay away from a ring,
right. It's like if you're a sexaholic or you're addicted to sex, don't hang around vaginas. That's just, or wieners, whatever you prefer. It's the same thing. It's sound advice from our friend Danger Dean.
Very much the same.
I'll have you know I'm drinking bulletproof coffee now, so you're all screwed at this point. I don't know if you're going to get a word edgewise here in a minute, so try to get in everything you can. Work in your spots before I get fired up here, okay?
Well, let's get into the topic of today's show, guys. WrestleMania, too big for just one night. It took over this weekend. WWE, I think, did awesome with just making sure this happened. I mean, there was
You know
a lot
what's
of
really
people out there.
weird? That same catchphrase, that same tagline right there is what every woman that I've ever shared with Dean has ever said about his wiener. It's too big for just one night. Is this a family show?
I don't know. We might not be after today's episode, but
I keep forgetting that Dean's like married with children and all that stuff. So I got to watch my mouth. I'm an
asshole. But what do you guys think? WWE made it a point to still put on WrestleMania this year at the Performance Center. No fans there. What do you guys think? Brandon, we'll start with you this time.
Oh, geez. Always a bridesmaid. I loved it, man. Not only did I think that Vince McMahon's The Show Must Go On, P.T. Barnum-esque outlook on life is something that I deeply, deeply share with him. I thought it was one of the better WrestleManias. It's definitely not the worst ever. Probably not in the last worst 15 ever. After a while, you forget that there's no crowd out there. After a while, you just concentrate on the sounds that they're making, which is something when I trained people, I'm always like, make noise, scream your head off, make those facial expressions. And that's what they relied on, and it worked, in my opinion. I hate movie-style wrestling matches, like, the House Hardy stuff, and I like them in a. You have to separate yourself from being a wrestling fan, I guess. And then you just go over here and just be a fan of whatever that is, because I hate that stuff. I didn't like the Firefly Funhouse stuff. I don't like the Boneyard stuff. But at the same time, I freaking loved it. Does that make any sense to you whatsoever? Because I loved it as just a human watching this cinematic piece right here. It was cool. But then, as a purist wrestling fan, I'm just like, God, this is the death of the industry here. And I thought the same thing about the Matt Hardy stuff. But overall, the WrestleMania event, just the fact that it went on, people need that right now. I mean, people are bored out of their freaking mind. They're running out of stuff on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus and HBO Go and Pluto TV or whatever it is. They're running out of all that stuff, and they're too cheap and stupid to get a side TV, which is all independent stuff filmed by usually me. And I'm going to go right into a plug here. So asytv.com. If you don't have it right now and you're complaining about running out of content on all the other formats, stop that. Get it. Duh. Okay. Anyway, Dean.
Well, I don't have a TV network to promote, but I actually like the cinematic aspect of it. I like that you can take characters that probably are a little more broken down, I guess some people would say, with The Undertaker. Let's be honest, like, another Undertaker match in the ring, like, do we want to see it again? The streak's been broken, right? So how can you keep the character relevant on a moment like this? And whether or not this was the original plan before the pandemic changed the landscape of everything, I'm not sure if that was what they were going for, but I do like the idea that an idea like this can open up a door, and I've seen it floating around online, but like, Sting and Undertaker having some kind of, interaction or battle. I think that those kind of, possibilities are pretty cool with matches like that. The Funhouse match was insane. Like, I just watched it again this morning just to kind of get a refresher, but man, that match was, I still don't really know. I knew Bray Wyatt was going to go over, but, I didn't know what to expect. And I'd say that if they were looking for shock and awe, I was definitely shocked.
Well, they definitely gave The Undertaker at least 2 or 3 more years if they're going to do stuff like that. But if you're looking at 80,000 people in the arena that don't get to see him because he's on a video screen, that will piss a lot of people off in the arena. And I don't think they had to worry about that, obviously, this year. So. But yeah, the thing that just is, like I said, I'm a wrestling purist. I like things to suspend my disbelief, not add to it, if that makes any sense. But at the same time, I love the Firefly Funhouse match. I loved it, and I actually like the Matt Hardy stuff too, especially with old dorky ass Rob Reisen in there. Love that guy. But it's such a fine line. It's like on this side, I'm like, okay, this is killing the industry. It's death to wrestling purist. It's bullshit. It's fake. It's a movie. And on this end, it's like, holy crap, that was cool. So, what are we supposed to do with it? It's just, I think a lot of times us as wrestling fans, especially us that have been in it for years. I've been a fan since I've been 5 years old. So it's like, but at the same time, it's almost nice to have things to challenge your processing department. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I think the Firefly Funhouse was definitely that one seemed like the match that they kind of threw together when things kind of changed. Because not having Cena to be in front of a crowd, stuff like that was going to be a little bit different. Doing a regular match probably wouldn't make the most sense for what they wanted to accomplish. But that one was a very bizarre, just the way they went about it. But it fit that new Fiend Bray Wyatt character, and I think that was more of a character development push for him more than anything. I think it was perfect for them. That the whole Taker thing, I liked that match. I liked the fact that they did it. They could, almost all of Mania could have been done like that, and people would have. There'd be the different views, but I think it would have been well received overall. But I think for Taker and AJ, who probably could have had a good match in the ring with it being AJ, doing the match that they did was perfect. I think it, just like Dean said, I think it adds more time, or Brandon, whichever one you said it, adds more time to Taker's, to at least another year or so to Taker on him being able to do some more matches if they do some stuff like that.
Yeah, if you do 5-minute takes at a time, you know what I mean? Okay. Right. And cut, you can do Taker and Sting and some crazy, like rafter match or whatever, you can do whatever. And Taker can, literally go on and on and on until he's not able to walk anymore, which is probably not too far off. But it's just, like half of me is like, God, this is garbage. And then the other half is like, this is amazing. And I'm just,
I think the good thing with it is, I think the good thing with it is you can do so much with the crowd to build up to that match, but it does come to that issue of how do you present that match to the fans in the arena or at the stadium if it's at Mania, to get them on the same boat. But I think, for what it was a great. I love both matches. I thought they were both great segments for the show.
We have to include Edge and Orton in there too, because there wasn't really a match, but I knew somebody would have to fight all over the arena just because it's there. Like I was itching, like as a promoter and as a creative type I was itching, like, God, just hire me for the week. I have so many freaking ideas, like for all of this stuff. Like even the Raw and SmackDown and the NXT shows, I'm like, I'm bursting at the seams with freaking ideas on how to do this stuff in an empty arena. Because you've got a parking lot out there, you've got all these different rooms in the back, you've got people's houses. Why can't we go to people's houses and do the old Brian Pillman Austin thing? Whatever. There's all kinds of stuff they can do. Especially with the Cena Bray feud, the build-up I thought was weak as hell. And I was like, man, why can't John Cena do his own version of like the Firefly Funhouse? How funny would that be with him? He's hilarious. Why can't he do the John Cena Funhouse or something? It'd be just all these different. Why can't Bray attack him on the set of a movie set? Why can't all of this stuff go on that's outside of the arenas? And of course, none of that happened. We got a tip of the hat, and then we got a run or something like that with some teleporting. And that's another thing. I've always hated the mystical stuff, the lightning coming out of Undertaker's hands, and the teleportations, and just I've always hated that stuff. But for some reason, maybe we're just hungry for entertainment. I don't think those things would have worked, honestly. I don't think people would have appreciated them as much if it was a full arena full of people.
No, I agree. What do you guys think was overall the best match for over both nights?
Do you know?
I think I liked, for the wrestling and for what it was, I really liked Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn. That's just pure, like, I just really enjoyed the wrestling aspect of the match. I think the ladder match though kind of takes that whole aspect for one. I mean, those guys are all nuts for wanting to do what they're doing without a crowd. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't feel good getting smacked around with ladders. Brandon posted a video from 11 years ago, which is
right, almost to the day. Actually, I was April 4th.
11 years ago, us having this insane ladder match, and those things they suck. So to do it
we use
without
those adjustable ladders that go flat. Those things
Yeah,
are heavy.
so I mean, I give him credit for that. It was just, and then the fact that all three of the guys in the match are athletically gifted added that much to it. I think the ladder match in all was the match of the night.
I got kind of a different take on it. I actually really enjoyed from a storytelling standpoint, kind of everything. They all kind of told a story. I mean, Rollins and Owens told a really good story. Even Lashley and Aleister Black told a good story, and they left something there for they left a little meat on the plate for to build that up. And then from overall story, which is what I'm all about, Edge and Orton just and Marcy Cat says hi, by the way. Edge and Orton was definitely the story. It was long as hell. It could have been shaved off about 10 minutes, but at the same time, it was just the expressions and just Edge's ability to tell a story in the confines of a wrestling segment was just absolutely unbelievable. And I love that stuff. I like the stuff that makes you feel, and that totally got it. So, but yeah, Daniel Bryan, as far as wrestling goes, and Sammy, that was fun too. I mean, they all had really good storytelling, and I think there's a lot more to taping and actually putting together television. I know, like, if you're in an arena, you can't say stop, okay, and let's take it up from here. But if you got an empty arena, then why not do that? Just make everything as perfect as possible.
See, and I thought that's what was wrong with Goldberg and Strowman. That match should have been segmented, like broken down to make that a better match than what it was. Strowman has shown he can go.
A lot of people like Bully Ray. I would listen to Bully Ray's podcast and stuff, and the busted open stuff. I listen to way too many podcasts, and that's not something that just happened. Especially true crime stuff. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but giving Goldberg the excuse of that's what that match needed to be. I don't think any match needs to be that way anymore. I like Gold. He looks amazing. Seems like a good presence. Cuts a good promo. But damn it, he's Sandman now. It's like you got a good entrance and you got a good promo, and that's really about all you got now. And that doesn't need to be, the flag bearer of a company by any means. And I don't think he needs to be in that spot anymore. I'm tired of that's what that match needed to be. Okay, well, what if we had other guys in there that doesn't need to be that? And Braun Strowman's an asshole, so I just don't like him personally. So it's like that match is just off the radar for me. Don't care.
The show with your hosts, Hollywood JDT and Stuntman Kirk. We'll be right back.
If you miss sports as much as they do, make sure you check out the 3OT Triple Overtime podcast on Apple Sports or Spotify today. These guys find a way to discuss and dissect sports, especially during a time where we could really use some. Check out the latest episode where they interview NFL draft prospect and running back from the University of South Carolina, Caleb Kinlaw. Listen to the latest episode today on Apple Podcasts, 3OT Triple Overtime. Chill out with Shiver and Fears. Check out what this author is up to as he continues writing horror fiction that will make you scream. Get your copy in one of three kinds of forms. You can get it on Kindle, get that ebook for when you're on the go. Got less time to read but more time to listen? Get the audio version. You want to sit back in your room and get the chills the old-fashioned way? There's paperback book for you as well. The best part is, like their page and they will start you off with a free audio copy. Check them out, guys, on Instagram at Shiver and Fears 2019 and on Facebook and Twitter at Shiver and Fears. That's Shiver, SHIVER, and Fears.
Back to the show. Here's your hosts, Hollywood JDT and Stuntman Kirk.
It's interesting about you made this about. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, it's interesting you say like and I agree. Like, as nice it is to see Goldberg come back for that nostalgia part of it, Lesnar's very much that same boat. It seems like where But I mean, but comparing match wise, you watch his matches and it's the exact same match. It's short. I mean, when's the last time he had a truly long, in-depth match? That
did one with AJ about a year and a half ago. He had good Finn Balor match.
But that's all a year and a half out. You made him that flag bearer, but he's not putting on those matches. By all means, I think it's great that where they put McIntyre, and I think that's exactly what they needed. But it sucks that for so many years, that's what they keep winding up doing.
Well, I mean, Brock Lesnar seems like kind of a pain in the ass. He'll work what he wants to, and I think what he wants to, he's one of the best workers in the business. And I'm not talking like move for move, like flippity floppity shit. I'm talking about selling. Nobody sells better than Brock Lesnar. Nobody has better facials than Brock Lesnar. Nobody has more of a presence than Brock Lesnar. I was hoping, honestly, when he came back and beat Cena, they should have put the belt on him at that point and still had it on him. I think he should have been the guy who beats Bruno's record. I love the presence of it. I like that he's not there every week. I like that he has Paul Heyman doing his light work. I dig that stuff. And I've been dying for a dominant champion like that forever. And now he's lost to freaking Seth Rollins twice. He's lost to Drew McIntyre now. He's lost to excuse me, I got the corona. He's just loses all the time, and then he'll beat up some skinny guy like Ricochet or something, and that's about it. Or Kofi. But I would love for them to have just made. And imagine how big it would have been if Brock Lesnar was champion for the last 6.5 years. Imagine how big it would be if someone even like a Drew McIntyre came along and beat him. Like, holy crap! It would have been the biggest thing. It would have made freaking CNN. It would have been like, here's our death toll for coronavirus, and oh, by the way, Drew McIntyre beat Brock Lesnar after 6.5 years. It would have been huge, but they have
but that's not the fan base either. So I don't think the fan base could withstand it that long.
WWE tells their fans what to enjoy, and they do, whether they do or they don't. Nowadays, fans enjoy not enjoying things. Does that make any sense? They love drama.
I fully agree with you. I mean, you look at, Reigns, you look at Cena, any of them. As soon as it would not surprise me to see it happen with Strowman. Would not surprise me to see it happen with
Drew.
With Matt, with Drew. That now you're going to start seeing in the next, once the crowds are back in the arenas, about a month in, people start booing.
Well, it's the Austin theory, and I'm not talking about the wrestler Austin theory. I'm talking about the Steve Austin theory, where you gave them this total heel off of the backs of literally Hulk Hogan and, mega faces. And now you have this total heel who just rules the business, bestseller ever, ass kicker, flipping people off, drinking beer. And you can't go back from that. Even The Rock was a smart ass, the sharp tongue guy. And he was a heel too the whole time. When's the last time you heard The Rock cut a babyface promo? Never. So you can't go from that in, just 20 years ago. It's fresh in everybody's mind. And it's super fresh because of the network and all the call-ups and different people showing up and stuff. And even DX, are you kidding me? You think they were faces? There was no faces in the 90s or even in the early 2000s. And then you get John Cena coming out and he's G.I. Joe freaking, all-American. And then you expect him to just be universally loved? No, he was only liked because of the thugonomic stuff. And then when he got rid of that, it's like, okay, F you Cena sucks, whatever. And you can't, and no one's going to pick that spot up unless they're like, if Drew McIntyre went out and actually learned how to cut a promo and without sounding like he's trying so hard, then maybe at that point, and he said some just awful things about, people and cut everybody down and it's total heel, but at the same time, he's a guy, maybe at that point he could do it. Braun is just Braun. He's a moron. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot here.
Dean, what was your my favorite match out of all of it was Charlotte and Rhea. I think they truly were the best match of the night for both nights. But what's your general feeling on the whole fan take on stuff?
I think it kind of works both ways. I mean, they don't listen to I don't think they necessarily listen to the fans as much as the fans would like to think that they're listening, but I mean, they're the ones with the big pockets. They're the ones that run the company, everybody criticizing it or as far as that goes. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't really, there were parts, there's certain things I didn't like about it. It is really, and I've probably because I've wrestled in front of very small crowds, but it's really, it took me a minute to get into the matches without the crowd being there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there are little things I don't know. And I would agree with Brandon when he's talking about Brock Lesnar. I think he's just a great entity. If you're going to have a champion, that's the guy you want, because Brandon was talking about how he loses. He's lost a lot, but he's still viewed as this like just untouchable character. You know what I mean? And so I think that we'll see what they do from here, because I mean, if they continued with everything the way they've done it, I don't know, because they've been showing older matches. It's just going to be interesting to see how they follow it up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think, like Brandon said, I think having the network, while it's great, is also that bad part for what they want to try to accomplish. I mean, they're trying to keep things in that PG era, but they got to find that way of bridging it up and making it a little bit more.
Have you heard all the
relative, I guess,
S-bombs lately, though? I mean,
oh yeah, in the Shayna, I think it was the Shayna Baszler, was it the match or something before the match? She cut a promo and she said shit in the promo, and then during the Wyatt match, the Wyatt Cena match, they had the puppet, they unedited that one out too. So I think they are kind of going back towards that. I don't know.
Well, the Attitude Era honestly sucked. I mean, there was like 6 people in the Attitude Era that was really good, and I think I mentioned them earlier. The DX, the Rock, the Austin, and the Undertaker type stuff. But then you had the Los Boricuas, you had the Truth Commission, you had DOA, you had all of these terrible factions. You had just I mean, I liked Val Venus, but still, you had Val Venus, you had just Mark Henry, and he had the goofiness. That was Howard Stern and Jerry Springer. I think if they bring more of a realistic sans all the movie matches, which I think will be a new thing, to be honest, from here on out. I think it went over so well that people watch it whether they like it or not, if that makes any sense. Because people want something that they can give their opinion on, and whether it's good or bad. So if you had a whole show of things that people just loved, I think it would universally be looked down upon and ratings would go down if you give everything away. If you give people the Lana Rusev, freaking Lashley angle, which I loved to death, then people have something to bitch about. And people just, they didn't have social media in the 90s. They didn't. Social media in the 90s was going out in the middle of a square in a park somewhere, standing on a soapbox and talking about Jesus. That was social media. Nowadays, we have all of these forms of social media. Imagine if we had social media in the 90s. It would have been nuts in a wrestling vein. But now it's, people want something to bitch about. They want something to do their YouTube show about. They want something to do their lame-ass little podcast about. I'm saying that about my own, not yours.
I don't disagree with you on mine either.
No, people want something to bitch about. That's just the society we live in now. That goes with everything, politics, everything. So, WWE, I think they're smart enough to say, okay, you want something to bitch about? We're going to give you something to bitch about. How about this? How about we don't push this guy forever, but we make it known that he probably should be pushed? And then everybody gets behind him, and then they'll finally start pushing him. Then everybody will hate him. Like, what? It's just an impossible scenario right now to be a creative or a wrestler or even a fan. So I feel like it's still in a transition period as far as wrestling. But, up until this stuff, I think the Raymond James Stadium was sold out, wasn't it? I think they have more subscriptions to the network than they've ever had And yeah, people are still tuning in. They're still watching, and they're just looking for something to bitch about. And it's sad, but at the same time, it's interesting. And that's my take, damn it. Let's start cutting more promos. Is that what you guys want?
No.
Are you
We've
serious?
had enough of those.
Really? Come on. Well, you said 30 minutes. We've got. Oh shit! It's been 35, so I better not cut a promo.
I was gonna say we've gone over the 30-minute mark that we talked about, but I do kind of want
anything less.
Oh no, I figure we'd be hitting
two of the
closer
best
to the hour
talkers
mark.
in the industry right here, and you're going to go 30 minutes. We're going Broadway, baby. It's going to be a full hour.
What is your guys' take on how? Let me phrase. How do you think things are going to kind of push forward when it comes to, obviously they had Monday Night Raw pre-taped with some stuff there. They got NXT set up. From all the stuff that's been out on the internet, SmackDown hasn't been taped, but they're plugging it like they're going to be doing a show. So what do you guys think the future holds for the next few weeks, next month, however long this current, pandemic goes on? That, how do you think they kind of continue to keep people engaged and keep things moving?
I kind of think at this point that I think they should just kind of take a page out of AEW's book and just give it some time. I don't know. I think that continuing to do this, I don't know. I don't know if it's sustainable. If you're going to continue doing this all summer, and then what's the next pay-per-view going to look like? Is it going to be a shell of what we saw at WrestleMania? Personally, I think it would be the best idea. But again, I don't have the money. I'm not in charge of any of that. So I'm not sure what they would do at this point to draw fans in and keep them.
Well, and we know they got the TV deal. So, it's not like they can just go black and be like, okay, we'll come back when things resume. But they have so much content with the network and everything else. Is it more of the at-home kind of style of show you think they'll wind up producing?
What is WWE better at than anybody else? And I didn't mean to cut you off there, Dean. I saw a thing. I called reversal duck one line. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. I just think that if it does, doing the throwback stuff. I think they did it with WrestleMania 35 a couple nights ago. They put it on ESPN and made a whole big deal out of that. I think that's going to be more of what you can expect from this going forward. Just more of the pre-produced stuff, throwbacks and things like that, and then sprinkled in with, as wrestling is actual live wrestling as possible.
What is WWE better at than any other entity on the planet Earth? Putting together documentaries that are usually for the network. They've got 20 of them on there now, like different ones. They got 24. They've got 365. They've got just all of these documentary series. I personally think they can easily spend an hour on Raw putting together, sit Drew McIntyre down, go through his entire career, kind of like they already did on the network, which is a great special. And then there's an hour of Raw right there. Put in 3 matches. You can record probably 50 matches in a day. They recorded WrestleMania from, I think it was 11 a.m. to 5 a.m. Do one of those days again. Have all your matches for the next 2-3 months done, and make them good. Tell some incredible storylines. You've got all this. That's all you have right now is storylines. So tell these stories. Get controversial. Get people to just be like, "Holy crap, that just happened! He just said that." Get Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's the answer to this. I don't mind Stephanie starting off WrestleMania, but Vince McMahon should have done that. After 9/11, who's the first person you saw in the ring? Vince McMahon. After the Chris Benoit stuff, who's the first person you saw in the ring? Vince McMahon. He's like a father figure to so many of us, especially me. Even though I've only walked past him in hallways a few times. So it's just put him out there. I don't care how old he looks. I don't care how bad he talks nowadays. Get him out there. We need to see him. We need to put our arms around him and go, oh, he's okay, he's good, and he's reassuring us. He's everything that our stupid president should be. So get him out there, get him involved. We've all waited forever for this Vince McMahon documentary series or book, haven't we? We've all wanted to know all of these questions. Why not take that last hour of Raw and do a Q&A with Vince McMahon? Everybody logs in. Make it interactive. Make it, who do you want to see in this match or whatever? I guess you can't do that if it's taped, but just get more interactive with people. Put that screen on the little ticker tape marquee on the bottom of the screen where people are talking about the show, and because we all want to be involved because we have nothing else to do. So, just make it more interactive. Go to people's homes and film stuff in the parking lot. Why not film? Like I said, you could do a Q&A for an hour. Boom. Have it hosted by any number of whatever hosts they have. Have it hosted by Corey Graves. Q&A with so-and-so and so-and-so. Okay, you ate up an hour. Show a documentary, a brand new one where you sit somebody down and they tell their life story. I don't care if it's Heath Slater. Just give me something new. Boom. There's another half an hour. And then, commercials are a half an hour. So now you have an hour of 2 matches and a little bit of building storylines. Just get creative with it. Give us some shockers. Give us something that we can sink our teeth into and go, holy crap, I can't wait till next week.
No, I agree. I think there's, if there's one company truly, and, nothing on AEW on that, but if there's one company that knows how to do content and everything else and has everything at their disposal to be able to do it, it's WWE. So, hopefully this will be kind of that big push with storylines and everything that they can do more. Hey, have talent if they're stuck at home, film their own little promo thing for it and do some of those little things to kind of work stuff in and, get it more character development and more storyline building until they can get people back in a ring together.
And you could do extra segments too. Why can't you add a This Day in History segment? That'll eat up 5 to 10 minutes. Like this day in history in 1918, Hans Schmidt beat Ed the Strangler Lewis or something like that in a match in front of blah, blah, blah. Why can't we just talk about the history? They have 150 years of wrestling history at their disposal. Hello. Why can't we use that? Talk about the past. Talk about, okay, we just signed this new kid at NXT. Do a little 5-minute piece on him. He could be the future. Who knows? Get people excited, and about new things. Get them, refreshed on old things. Talk about the whole history of wrestling. You have an opportunity now to do that without disrupting anything or without upsetting fans in the arena. It's, fuck, so much you could do. Why won't they just hire me already? Damn it. I had my chance like 4 years ago and I blew it.
That's all on you, man. Danger, any last words before we wrap up today's show? And, by all means, I want to make sure we get you guys back in the future. I got to say that,
Wait a minute. He gets to be billed first and then he gets the last word?
I'm giving him his last word. We both know your last word.
Closing the show? No.
We know your last words will take us 20 minutes, so let's let Danger get his in first.
No, it doesn't take you 20 minutes. You get to have 20 minutes.
You created this. If you hadn't booked me in ACW, this may never have happened in the first place.
Actually, I do want the last word, so you better come back to me.
All right. We'll come back for sure.
I really enjoyed the show as a whole. I was entertained. 2 days too, which I liked it broken up over 2 days. Even as a wrestling fan, I think sometimes those 7-hour shows can get to be a little long. But so I like the idea of breaking it up over 2 days. I think that took off a lot of the monotony of what it could have been had they not done that. I really missed the Hall of Fame, so that was kind of a weird thing they didn't do the night before. Didn't feel complete, But I do want to say that my extra special moment of the show was definitely Otis getting the girl, man.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Those are getting the girl at WrestleMania was a pretty cool moment for a lot of people in Colorado who were lucky enough to know him before he got his chance.
I tweeted out
to Liv Mandy out of everybody. So.
Well, I tweeted out to Liv Morgan. I'm like, hey, Otis has got Mandy now. So, what do you say?
Bring me in.
Tag. No, I do want to say one quick thing though. So just 8 to 10 minutes. I am very proud of that other guy that's doing the show with me, Dean. Love the guy. I mean, I'll tell the story again. He's heard it a million times. He lived it. But, you know, he was this like nervous kid, like looking down at the table in a conference room at the radio station when I was looking for a ring announcer. And I'm like, I was talking to some other guy, some older guy who was cool. But I looked at this kid and he's just like, his legs wouldn't stop. I'm like, what's going on with this guy? Like, why is he so nervous? I'm like, I'm just me, you know, I'm not nobody. But I'm like, I want that guy because he's passionate as hell. And he smells of passion for what I'm doing here. And we took him. He was our ring announcer for years, started bumping. Literally, I just wanted to base everything I was doing around him because he had that. He cared. He freaking cared. How many people in this business show up to a promotion and they're like, I'm here. Okay, what are we doing? Okay, where's my, $50 or whatever. And I hate those people. We've been infested with those people. But I had this kid right here that was just like, he cared as much as I did. And it was like, holy crap. Like, okay. Then we spent Valentine's together watching The Wrestler in a movie theater. It was just it was just that kind of a, thing in the beginning. And that's, I'm very proud that he's still doing it. He's probably passing knowledge down to other people. And you've had a career, dude. I mean, honestly, I know only a couple times we got to play in the big dance, but other than that, you've had a good indie career, just like I had a good indie career. And I guess it's still going for both of us because, me, if I'm doing a wrestling thing, I'm going to end up in there somehow because I'm the best damn promo there is. Not to mention I put on legit ass matches. I can still go, man. So, I'm kidding. But anyways, it's just, I'm grateful to have known you, Dean. I'm happy for everything that you've done. You were some poor little kid in the shittiest apartment I've ever seen in my life. When I met you, now you're like traveling all over the world with a wonderful wife, beautiful kids. I mean, holy crap, dude. This is like a life cycle that we've lived. So it's pretty cool. And Josh, I love you as well, man. You've always been like I think both of us have ever said, if we were closer in proximity, we'd probably be a lot better friends.
Oh yeah, I told that to Rob when I did the episode with him a few weeks back of, if it wasn't for the fact that we're almost 3 hours apart in the state, like, we'd probably be much closer friends and much more involved. I wouldn't go that far. I love my wife.
Well, I love you.
And she's way better than you, B. But
you don't know
that. I don't have to know much to know that.
I don't know
much. I truly think like, you guys, to not get sappy with it, I never got the chance to get in the ring with Dean. And I, but dude, you had the energy all the time and you were hands down one of the nicest people in any locker room I've ever been a part of.
Isn't that something with the reputation I've got?
And I know I'm typically, come across as like an asshole.
I never thought that. I always thought you came across very businesslike and very friendly. So I've never had any issue with you.
friendly and professional. That was like, I was like, yeah, this dude's, he's not here to screw around. I always respected that with you. So.
Well, that's good. But hands down, Dean, I gotta tell you, you were always a professional and someone that was just cool to talk to. Even when you were at the top of the card or announcing, there was no difference in who, coming in, saying hi, talking to you. And B, you gave me a second chance of kind of getting back into wrestling and being able to have fun with it and helping me find me. So thank you guys.
And it's kind of funny that you say you never shared the ring with me, but Dean's over there like, yeah, you're lucky.
I feel like I've gotten like 3 layers of leather skin because I was in the ring with Brandon so much for the first couple years of my career.
We all have that one person that's like, okay, we can beat the shit out of each other and have fun with it. I had a few of those.
Yeah.
Dean was one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
I had fun. I don't know if he did. I'm sorry.
I'm going wrong. Tony was probably mine. So.
Oh, geez. Yeah, he's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, Tony's chops were not anything to laugh about either. So.
Hey man, are you gonna wrap this thing up, or are we gonna have to edit this thing?
Yeah.
My God.
Oh, we'll wrap it up, guys. Thank you guys.
I don't know why you're taking so damn long with this podcast. It makes no sense. Where's the
much love, guys?
Guys, thank you guys for taking time to be on the show. I appreciate it. For sure, we'll get you guys on, Dean. I'll make sure I do one with you at some point where we put Brandon on mute a little more. So definitely get a few more words. Get a few more words in. But hey, guys, thank you guys so much. And most importantly, guys, thank you guys for being a part of the wrestling community. And we'll catch you guys in the future.
Oh, wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
Shut up.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Show with Hollywood JDT and Stuntman Kirk. Want to stay in the know on all things sports, wrestling, movies, and TV? Follow the show on social media at The Show Podcast. If you like today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on The Show.